Hey.
I just said I've never played that before in my life.
What did he say?
He said he's never played that before in his life.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Amazing what will happen after healing meditation.
I was healed.
But we've sung that before.
Yeah.
It's nice of you guys to spread out. Thank you.
And just voluntarily.
In other words, I'd really appreciate it if we... Everybody's afraid of the front row.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, with good reason right now. There's no... I'm just going to be talking to you folks, and wow. Courage.
It's nice to see people in the front row, actually.
Kind of like thrill seekers.
In the old days, I remember the first synagogue, it was called a temple then, a temple I worked in, nobody would sit in the front row. We used to think that the ideal synagogue would be one that right before the service began, the front row would kind of sink in. It was just there for show, you know. There's music that's going to start. It's any minute now. It's going to go with those words. You know
There's only one place to be, that's in this moment. There's only one thing to do, and that's be present. There's only one thing to have, that's unending gratitude for being in this present moment. There's only one place to be, that's in this moment. There's only one thing to do, and that's be present. There's only one thing to have, and that's unending gratitude for being in this present moment. There's only one place to be, that's in this moment. There's only one thing to do, and that's be present. There's only one thing to have, and that's unending gratitude for being in this present moment, for being in this present moment, for being in this present moment.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Holy One of Being, universal creative presence, who holds us in life always, who supports our unique unfolding, and who brings us to this moment for blessing. So there's one song that I forgot last night. So we're going to do it now. It actually belonged with the Reb-no-shel-olam passage. You know, Holy One of all being, I now forgive those who have hurt me, those who have done me wrong, and then, you know, seeking to let go of our own. And the Reb-no-shel-olam has several melodies. Reb-no-shel-olam, it's very difficult to translate literally. Like literally, it would be his master of the universe. But it doesn't mean that. It's talking about, it's an assertion that there is a presence, a universal presence of the universe. I remember a Hasidic master named Nachman of Bratslav. Nachman of Bratslav, who was one of the great grandsons of the Baal Shem Tov, the one who began the Hasidic movement in the 18th century. And at that time, it wasn't an ultra-Orthodox movement. It was actually a response to an ultra-Orthodoxy. It was a response to a kind of focus on such intellectualism that the heart was missing. And Nachman of Bratslav had a mantra, and the mantra was Reb-no-shel-olam. And Reb-no-shel-olam is a fascinating mantra because the Roshei Tevot, the initials of it are Rasha, Reb-no-shel-olam. Rasha is an evil one. And, you know, it is not conceivable that Nachman didn't know that. You know, it's like, you know, what is it that we need to remind ourselves of? You know, it's like the whole universe is an expression of a single life. The whole universe is an expression of a single presence. And the world in which we experience ourselves often does not reflect that. And the selves in which we live is often not reflecting that. And it's like with the Reb-no-shel-olam, he's holding both. It's holding both. It's like if we can, without blame and without breastbeating and without, you know, self-flagellation, honor the parts of ourselves that are human, you know, imperfect, often struggling. And simply allow that to be part of the whole thing. Like that's just part of our condition. It's not something to be fixed. It's not even something to be changed. It's something to be honored, and to the extent we honor it, we're not trapped by it. Reb-no-shel-olam. And please rise. We read together. You know, it's like Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach. It's like opening up to embrace an entire world. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach. I can't do this. Wouldn't it be something if it stayed here? And then Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Ba'ed. It's like taking those arms that just embraced everything out there and embracing ourselves. I don't know if you have room to do it without knocking over the people next to you. But you don't have to hold a book or a microphone. And it's just like, I open to everything. The whole thing in this moment is blessed. It is what it is. And if I want it to shift, if I want it to evolve, the best chance is to embrace it with blessing. If I want me to change, if I want me to grow, my best chance is to embrace me with blessing. So the Baruch Hu is like, oh, and the Baruch Adonai HaBarach is like, oh. So read it that way. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaBarach. Bless with the eternal presence, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Ba'ed. Blessed is the eternal presence, the one who is blessing eternally. You know how that's written with the is with capital letter at the end? The one who is blessing eternally? Because the blessing is not an action as separated from the being. It's the nature of that being to bless. It's not blessing sometimes and not other times. It's we who are open or closed to that flow of blessings at any given moment. It's like, that's what presence is. That's what that being is. We are always being blessed with an outpouring of consciousness. And when we say like the Eternal's love. It's not like the Eternal decides to love at one moment and not at another. It's like, here, I love you. Take me, use me, so to speak. Now that I've cleared that up. How many of you, in your early experience, stood during the Shema? And how many sat? Traditionally, one sat during the Shema. And actually, the first tradition that started standing during the Shema was Reformed tradition. It's like proclaiming that the one that manifests as the many remembers that it's still one. The Adonai, the Yud He Vav He, is the one Eloheinu, manifesting as the many, manifesting as our God, manifesting as the indwelling presence awakening within each and every one of us. And then Adonai, the Yud He Vav He Echad, is one. It's one. Together, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. The Eternal awakens within us as our God. The Eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is the holy name, whose glorious being is eternal. Please be seated. You know why it says God endures after Israel there? Yisrael, obviously when this is written, there was no state called Israel. There was a person called Israel, and it was the name that Jacob got in the Bible after the story of wrestling with the angel. And the story of wrestling with the angel explains the etymology of the name as God wrestler. Yisrael, like one who contends with God. El being a general term for God. And while that functions in the story, scholars tell us that that's actually not what Yisrael means. Yisrael, if just looked at linguistically, the subject is El. El is not the object. The subject is, it's like God endures or God persists, Yisra. The difference being, as far as I can tell, the ego that's always wrestling or the fuller consciousness that endures. And so I wanted to indicate that, and to put in some of these, that Israel, I think, was meant as a proclamation, not as a battle, but as a foundation. And perhaps after hearing this a couple times, you're a little more familiar with the chanting melody. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol ma'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'vlechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha laman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. There's something about this next song that has always appealed to me. It's not, this does not come from Jewish tradition. But there's a purity about it. Take, O take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. It's about letting go. And it's about letting go into the moment. And just acknowledging I am as I am right now. Take, O take me as I am. With all the pretense, behind all the pretense, with all the clarity, with all the confusion, with all the strength, with all the weakness, with all the frailty, with all the certainty. And it's a covenant, letting go into presence and inviting that presence to live through us, inviting that presence to speak through us, inviting that presence to touch through us. So I always hear this as an invitation, an intention. take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me.
Take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me.
It's like an entrance into a meditation. It's like an entrance inviting us to just kind of settle back. If you feel comfortable letting the eyes close. And just imagining somewhere those words are repeating, take, oh, take me as I am. Take, oh, take me as I am. Let me fall into your being. Let me fall into your presence. That presence is so much greater, so much fuller, so much wiser, so much more loving. Take, oh, take me as I am. But that presence knows me. That presence knows us. We live in that presence. We exist in that consciousness. Take, oh, take me as I am, summon out what I shall be. Because when I give myself over to your presence, that which is yearning to be born, that which is yearning to be expressed, that which is yearning to be celebrated, that which is yearning to be shared, naturally emerges. Oh, it operates on so many levels, opening the greater identity within each of us, the identity that holds our separate self, holds our ego, holds our smaller self. But that fuller identity, that greater self is also connected on the other side to a far greater consciousness, a far greater wisdom, a far more inclusive presence. And the gift that is transmitted from that greater consciousness to our greater self is the summoning out what we shall be. Oh, we are more. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me, live through me, live as me. Each and every one of us a representative on this level of being of an infinite presence. But the only way for an infinite presence to manifest in this world of time and space is as a finite being. A finite being carrying the seed of the infinite, connected always to that greater wisdom, to that greater love. There's nothing one has to do but let go. Take, oh, take me as I am. And when I let go into that presence, I am able to perceive the call, summoning out what I shall be, as if responding to a question. How can I bring that wisdom? How can I bring that love more fully, more clearly into this life? And set your seal, Chatimah. Set your completing upon my heart. Set your presence on my heart. Live in me. Touch through me. Heal through me. Take, oh, take me as I am. Some and outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take, oh, take me as I am. Some and outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take, oh, take me as I am. Some and outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. And take a few deep breaths. Let the eyes open. The Nusach, the High Holy Day melody that we use for the blessings, the High Holy Day melody that we use for the Baruch Hu and the Shema. But somehow the melody of the Avinu Malkeinu, Imenu Malkatenu, moves somewhere deeper. I don't know whether it's a memory. I don't know. We're children of a greater presence. Earthly mother and father are like surrogates. Of some greater presence in a universe that is seeking to support us. And we, no matter what gender we're wearing on the outside, carry both the masculine and the feminine, the king and the queen, the prince and the princess. We're just regular people, but we're also royalty. It's a matter of birthright, And part of our challenge is to reclaim that birthright. Please rise. Avinu Malkeinu, Imenu Malkatenu, Avinu Imenu Chanenu Ve'anenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim, Aseh Imanu Tzedaka V'Chesed V'Hoshienu. Our Father, our King, our Mother, our Queen, our Father, our Mother, be gracious and answer us, for we have too few good deeds. Treat us with justice tempered by love, and bring us salvation. Please be seated. And read with me. The Eternal is my shepherd, I shall not want. The Holy One invites me to lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. The universal presence restores my soul and guides me in clear paths, for that is the sacred way. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your presence always brings me comfort. You prepare nourishment for me, even in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, for I always dwell in the house of the Eternal.
For you אתה עמדי, כי 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 אתה עמדי. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, 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 for you are with me.
Eternal One of all being, you have searched me and you have known me always. You know my actions and my thoughts. You know my journey and all the paths that I have taken. You are acquainted with all my ways. There is not a word on my tongue that you, Holy One of being, do not know completely. You are with me always. On all sides your presence touches me. Yet full knowledge of you is too wonderful for me. It is too much, and I cannot attain it. Where can I go from thy spirit, or where can I flee thy presence? If I ascend the highest heights, you are there. If I descend to the darkest depths, there too you are. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there it is as if your hand leads me, holds me. Sometimes I think that darkness shall totally cover me, but even that night is as light in your presence. What I perceive as darkness does not conceal me from you, for even that night shines as the day. The darkness and the light that I know are both one to you. You know me, and you have known me always. So I will praise you, Eternal One of being, for I am wondrously made. Your works are marvelous. My soul knows that with certainty. So search me, Holy One, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there are destructive ways in me, that you might lead me in the way that is eternal. We are neither the first nor the last to know the pain of separation and loss, nor are we the first to celebrate the joy of love. Since the beginning of time, consciousness evolved to know the distinctions, good and evil, up and down, life and death. With those distinctions, we live our lives. They motivate our growing, our reaching beyond the confines of past patterns and achievements. We seek the more and the better and the truer ways of belief, of thought, of feeling, and of action. Our mortality gives meaning to our moments. Because our time here is never long enough, we are challenged to remain awake to the possibilities of each moment. We are invited to awaken to the possibilities of each relationship. We are reminded to make the very most of all that is given us. We seek the consciousness that lies behind the separations, behind the loss we know, behind the separations we fear. In these moments of quiet, we surrender to the deeper voice that whispers the one we always are. When I was a child, they had a service during Yom Kippur that children weren't allowed to go to. You know, and it was a memorial service. As if somehow children are not supposed to know that this life is finite. That's such an interesting thing. It's like psychologists are always interested to find out that we human beings actually cannot quite imagine our not being. We also have interesting notions of wanting to be eternally. Which is itself an interesting kind of notion. Would I want eternally to be Ted? Actually, no. I've been working on this one a long time. I kind of got it down. You know, your story. You know, a lot of us have our story. We've been doing it pretty well. But like, that's it? That's the limit of my possibility, of your possibility? I don't think so. This is like a disposable container. But what's in it is not disposable. What's in it has the capacity to appreciate the container, the fragility of the container, the vulnerability of the container, the finiteness of the container. You probably remember one of my favorite stories of the rabbi who, before teaching his students every day, well, except Shabbat, would come into the classroom, but he'd go into his little office and he'd close the door and he'd be in there by himself. And after some moments he would open the door and come out, and somehow he'd be, the students would notice there'd be something different about him. He'd be brighter, more radiant, more ready. Every day, every class. And as the rabbi aged, he became less careful about making sure the door to his office was closed. So enterprising students would kind of sneak up and try to see, what is he doing in there? And they would see that he would sit down at his desk and he would open up the lower left-hand drawer and he would take out a black book and he would open the book and he would study. And after a while he'd nod his head and he'd close the book and put it back, and at that point the student would rush back to his seat. And when that rabbi made his transition, you can just imagine students from over the years, well, they found themselves in that classroom and everyone wanted to see, like, was it still there? And of course the most enterprising of the students kind of snuck in and sat down at the chair. And the others clustered around and outside the room, and they watched that student open up the lower left-hand drawer of the desk. And sure enough, there was a black book. And that student lifted out the black book, and you could see the palm print of the teacher that had held it every day. And the student opened it up. And he started looking through the pages. And every page was blank, except one. And on that one page, one sentence. And it was a sentence that the rabbi contemplated every day prior to his teaching. And the sentence said, remember the difference between the container and that which it contains. Remember the difference between the container and that which it contains. The truth is, the container is unique. Each of us walking around in our containers. No containers are like each other. I mean, sometimes it's amazing. The more people we see, and with the internet you get to see a lot of, and everybody's got a different face. Like one would think you'd run out of different faces. Everybody's got a slightly different location. Everybody's got a different history. Everybody's got a... It's phenomenal. And each unique expression, each unique container is so precious. And they're finite. They're vulnerable. We're fragile. Remember the difference between the container and that which it contains. Confronting loss, confronting death. We feel the anguish. The fragility of the container. Containers are unique. They're to be celebrated, cherished, loved, supported. Some containers are more able to awaken to that which they contain. Not good, bad, better, worse. It's just some containers get so convinced that all they are is a container. There's, as if there's nothing in there. But in a time of memorial, we celebrate. We celebrate the container and that which it contains. Because without the vulnerability, without the fragility, without the temporality of the container, that which it contains can't express itself. I mean, put in another idiom, God needs us. Poor God. And I don't mean to imply there's a person, but the universe, the presence, the being needs the individual expressions to express. Ideally to know itself, to meet itself, to recognize itself, to celebrate itself. So on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of our year, we take time to remember. There's something about Yom Kippur that's a thin place, you know, between worlds. And we remember with light. It's part of It's part of our tradition that is really rather remarkable. We don't remember with flowers. I mean, flowers are okay, but we remember with light. So the tradition is that on the anniversary of a death, we light a candle that burns for over 24 hours. That's very interesting. Coming from a burial service, one lights a candle that's to burn for 7 days. Interesting. And so at a moment of memorial, a public memorial on Yom Kippur afternoon, we light candles. Why? Because light is the closest we can come to an image of that which the container contains. And light functions because even though each of the candles is going to have its own light, the light's the same. Wherever somebody kindles a candle on this day or any day, the light is the same. Each candle will be distinctive and separate, and every candle has a life of its own. But that which it carries is one. And so we intend through this ritual to celebrate both the container and that which it contains. And in so doing, we seek to awaken more fully to ourselves, to the preciousness of the container we are, and to the incredible presence for which we serve as a container. Perhaps through memory to dedicate and rededicate ourselves to serving more clearly, to serving more lovingly as containers for that light, as containers for that spark, as containers for that spirit. So I invite you, we'll start at this end of the side of the room. Those of you who would like to come light candles and to share the name of those you are remembering, you're welcome to do that.
My parents, Ruth and Frank Thornton, and all the grandparents and uncles mostly have all passed. And for all of my teachers, people I've disappointed, and people who had shown great faith in me. So I love them very much for what they've done for me. Thank you.
This has to be pushed into the bottom at the same time.
Thank you. Do it together. Thank you. We light this candle for my guide dog, Michael. He transitioned October 11th. He came to Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah celebration last year. He sang with us. Your song will always live in our hearts. We light this candle for all my relations who have transitioned. Thank you. You light
I got this lighter because it seemed to be, it promised to be easier to light, and it was lying. This has to be pushed at the same time you push this. You're back upside down. I wonder if there's another.
It's not as easy as the other. Okay, thank you. So we are lighting. We are lighting for my parents, Zelda and William Barry, for my in-laws, John and Alma Huffman, for all the four-leggeds in my life, and to the memory of Michael Geller.
So I light this candle in memory of my ancestors who have made their transitions, and to Lori Julian, a beautiful light for whom left us too early.
I'll light this for my sister Paula, passed away 3 years ago, and for all my ancestors and some good friends, Rodney Dick and Ron Reedy, and that's who.
Easy, huh?
You got to push this in, push this forward.
Okay, forward, not back. Push this forward.
Try this one.
Can I do it like Hanukkah? This candle I am lighting for my grandparents, Eve, Joe, Shari, and Herbert, my father, Arthur, my sister Diane, my brother Edward, and my very good friend Rudy.
I think this is the easiest actually. It is.
I like this for, oops, it's going to go out. I like this for my neighbor, my friend, and I like this for Rudy, who recently passed away. He was my neighbor, my friend, and the brother I never had.
I light this for two cherished, dear, dear friends, both of whom left us in October, one 2 years ago and one just 2 weeks ago. David Maxwell and Gary Wilson.
Trust. For my mom and dad and my grandparents, all four grandparents, and for the pets I've had that have loved me for many years, and I've loved them. So lots of aunts and uncles, and whoever's not being blessed, who's not being thought of, I'll think of them.
We'll start on this side first in the back. Maybe come around this way, because this is the, we got to start this side. Mm-hmm. Just press this forward or down.
So I'm lighting this for my Aunt Rose and my Aunt Shirley, both of who transitioned this year. For my grandparents, my parents, my brother Ronnie, and my cousin Sarah.
Push this down. At the same time you pull the trigger.
I'm lighting for my parents, Jerry and Bernice Burton, my aunts and uncles, and my first boyfriend, Alexander Epler, who passed last May.
I light for my dear friends, Henry Kobernick and Gerda Lawrence, for my parents, Dow and Barbara Bailey, and for four-legged Macy.
I light for my uncle Mark Bloom, who transitioned in August, for my mom, Roberta Blumenthal, my grandma Rose Alexander, grandma Helen Hatfield and Louis Hatfield, my grandfather, and my aunt Joy Arnold.
Should light another candle with a lot of people. Besides, you're very good with the lighter.
Someone's transitioned a while ago.
I'm lighting for my brother-in-law, Arnie Ingman, who just recently transitioned, and my mother, Phyllis Teldon Minden, and my godson, Isaac Fix.
I light this for all those in my heart, in my family, who have transitioned my family. But I light this one for my brother, Arnie Ingman, who I just lost unexpectedly this year.
So I light this for 3 close relatives who passed in the last year. My dear Aunt Dolores Kite, my cousin Sheila Schultz-Elman, and my wonderful cousin Howard Weinstein.
I light this candle for my mother, Lillian Glassman, my father, Eugene Glassman, and my favorite aunt, my Aunt Mildred.
I light for my father, Abe Goodman, my mother, Pearl Brandis Goodman, my brother, George Goodman, my mother-in-law, Natalie Sauls, and my dear father-in-law, Sidney Morris Sauls.
I'm lighting for Pete Goddard, who passed this recent year, 2 other family relatives, Rick Knox and Jane Barwinski.
I'll probably come this way.
I light for my parents, Leah and Lester Zopkin.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today with all of these beautiful people who passed. And I light this for my beloved husband, Arthur, and my son, who died last year, Bruce. Thank you.
I light that for my mother, Pearl Mormelstein Stahl, and my father, Mort Stahl. And I light this one for my spouse of almost 30 years, Judy Chason.
For my mother,
Libby Bender, Greenspan. My in-laws, Edna Strum Brimson, and my father-in-law, Frank Brimson. And I light this one. For my beloved husband, Victor.
It's for my parents and grandparents, but also for my son who passed away in November, my daughter who passed away many years ago, and two very good friends, Uri and Miriam, who passed past few years.
My light is for all my beloved family and friends, knowing that they're all up there dancing together.
Thank you. This is for my parents, Gertrude and Sidney Hector, grandparents and cousins, relatives who've passed, dear pets, and for Dale and Arnie and Randy. I light this light for all of my ancestors and for my dad Moshe and for all of those who have died alone.
I light this candle for my family and friends who are now gone, who have all left a piece of them within my heart. Especially mention of my grandfather who gave me the best foundation in the world, Sam Banzer.
Push down. No, the front.
Dear family who have been gone for many years, Bob Lippy and Nadav Joshua, and dear friend who's been gone for 1 year, Tom.
For our son Nadav, for our friend Tom.
Oh, no, you. Thanks.
I light this light for my amazing father, Larry, my beautiful brother, Robert, my sweet sister, Jody, one of my dearest friends, Dale Hoffman, and my neighbor down the street, Lena, who just passed away totally unexpectedly.
light this candle for my father, Sheldon, and for my mother, Bubby Shu, and her mother, Grandma Mary, who are with me all the time.
So I light this candle for Dean Peterson, Dolores McCon, and Miriam Bougie, all my immediate family, and all the ones that have gone before that.
I like this for my family and friends who have transitioned, and all our four-leggeds, Buddy, Bailey, Bobo, Sienna.
I light these for my parents, Jack and Natalie Falcon. I light a candle for my teacher, Michael Roth.
I light a candle for my mom and dad, Judy and Saul Rosner, and my brother, Woody Rosner. And I light another candle for my neighbor's son, who's 33 years old, Jake Johansson, and he died of a massive heart attack, totally unexpectedly, a few weeks ago.
Light this candle for my mom, Joyce, and my dad, Earl. They left this existence 17 and 20 years ago. Had really difficult lives. I trust it's not so difficult now. So, and also for one of my closest friends, Joey B., who transitioned about a year ago. So.
I light this candle for Ed Drangle, who helped many of us in Los Angeles. He and his wife helped the single people in the congregation when there was nowhere to go for the holidays. I'd like to light this candle for my parents, Frank and Rose Goldberg, for people that taught me what it's like to be funny, Lotus Weinstock, Bill Dana, and Gary Austin, especially. For the rock and rollers that Keith Richards says he outlasted, Rick Ocasek, and all the others that passed away, Ginger Baker, and for a four-legged named Bodie.
I light these for those who have not yet been mentioned but are being mentioned in your hearts. If everything lives in consciousness, and if there's one consciousness that contains everything, then everything's still in consciousness. In our tradition, saying the words of Kaddish and lighting a candle supports the transition of a soul. Perhaps the words and the lights are ways of reconnecting. So I invite each and every one of us to take some moments and perhaps call to mind those we're remembering. Perhaps imagining some moment when our lives touched theirs in special ways, and see them surrounded by light. Know that they are held in light. Know that they are embraced in light. There's something always that draws me to these particular candles that are in a clear shell, because as they burn they start liquefying, becoming first translucent and then transparent. It's like sometimes with our memories we can see behind and really just see the light. Just as we seek to recognize that light within ourselves and within each other. Please rise. El mole rachamim, shochein bamromim, hamtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina, b'ma'alot kadoshim utahorim kazohar harakia mazirim, et nishmot kol ela shehizkarnu hayom livracha, shehalchu la'olamam, Began Eden tehi menuchatam, ana ba'al harachamim, Hastirem beseter kanafecha leolamim, utzror bitzror hachayim et nishmotehem, Adonai hu nachalatam, v'yanuchu b'shalom al mishkavotehem, v'nomar amen, El mole rachamim, Eternal One who is compassionate who dwells on high, God of forgiveness, you are the one who grants perfect rest in the shelter of your presence, in the high and holy and pure paces of great illumination. To all those whom we remember this day, those who have gone to their eternal home, you shelter them within your being, and their souls are embraced in the arms of eternal life. Your eternal presence is their inheritance. They are at peace, and we say, Amen. Yit gadal v'yit gadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. V'yehei shalom Mubarach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekutsha b'richu. Le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushvachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yishmael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'imru Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heights create peace for us, for all the household of Israel, for all the household of Ishmael, and for all humankind, and let us say, Amen.
Say shalom b'mroma, Uya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, Imru, Amen. Oh, say shalom b'mroma, Uya say shalom aleinu. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Ha'olam. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Ha'olam. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Ha'olam. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, oseh shalom b'mroma, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, v'imru, Amen. Just walking each other home. We are all 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 just walking each other home. We We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home.
I don't know whether it's crepuscular or corpuscular. What is it? Crepuscular? Really? Crepuscular. And does it mean the same thing as crepuscular? It's the time of day, however it's pronounced, it's the time of day when you can see shapes but no longer colors. And I was kind of just looking at the trees. And it lets us know that our day is ending. And it's been a precious day. I'm wondering if anybody has any prayers that you forgot to pray. Remembering what a prayer is, like stepping into an identity, stepping into a being, a state of being, stepping into a knowing. That you just might want to use concluding moments of a Yom Kippur to invite consciousness to fill. Maybe it's an awakening to greater peace in your being. Maybe it's an awakening to greater love in yourself. Maybe it's an awakening to the kind of acceptance that leads to your own evolution. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Tekiah Gedolah. All right. I wonder if you could cluster for a minute. I feel like at the end of like a 24-hour period, we're the ones that are still standing. You know?
Because it's true.
There's been a lot of energies that we've shared, a lot of very precious moments, a lot of memories, a lot of prayers, a lot of moments of worship, a lot of moments of connection, a lot of moments of remembering, a lot of moments of recognition. A lot of moments of appreciation. Appreciation for our musicians. Steve Mason is now officially has completed his first High Holy Days. Certificate, yeah, it comes in the mail. Well, I'm not done with the musicians yet. Shari Rosner, Donald Goldberg, Stephen Merritt. We're very blessed.
It's really special this year. It's really, really special. Sherry and I get to sing together again. Like it was an honor to be here singing with you. So I knew that Steve Mason. This has been the easiest. I gotta tell you, sometimes it's not so easy.
Could you use the microphone maybe?
Sometimes it's not so easy. Me and Green. But working with these people has been so easy, and so beautiful, and so pretty much effortless. I just really deeply appreciate that.
We love you.
You know, I feel like there's been a completion. I mean, not only a completion of this particular High Holidays, but this was the 10th High Holy Day gathering that I've done since leaving a congregation. You know, most of the time when a rabbi leaves a congregation, you're done. Like, and I have this addiction. And it just felt like the 10th year was a special year. And so I intended this to be the conclusion of this kind of, this particular way. Because my addiction won't go away, but I just think evolution is happening. It feels to me personally, as well as nationally, as well as globally, this is really a time of deep change. This is a time of change. And I'd just like to affirm that the deep changes are growthful. You know, that old patterns are being broken and we're stepping out into 5780. And it's almost 2020. I mean, it's like the shape of the years are reflecting change. And consciousness needs our prayers. Consciousness needs our forms for kind of holding that change in positive and loving ways, rather than feeding the anger machine and the fear machine. So I thank each and every one of you for keeping me company on this concluding year of this. It's a great run. And I know that each of us hopes for ourselves and for each other a very special and deeply fulfilling year. And hopes that some of the energies that we have seeded, received, shared during these days will kind of unfold as the days and weeks and months go on. Maybe we'll remember and hear things in new ways and in fuller ways, and just be tempted to walk more gently into this world, to live more consciously, and to act more compassionately. And to celebrate ourselves and each other through a year of finding clearer ways to support each other as we journey from strength to strength, from love to love, and from life to life. Shana Tova, for a good year. We got one more song. We got one more song. I am alive. I am not yet. Now, and who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? I am alive. I am alive. I am alive. I'm alive. I am alive. I'm alive. And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? And who is this aliveness I am? Is it not the Holy Blessed One? I am alive. I am alive. I am alive. I'm alive. And who is this aliveness? I am. And who is this aliveness? I am. And who is this aliveness? I am. Is it not the Holy Blessed One?
The book is closed.
Sealed.